Hello, welcome to Liz Rocks and Stuff. I'm Liz. This is episode 133 of What's in My Tumbler. We are starting off with the South Dakota chalcedony. Funny thing about the pronunciation, since I'm going on about the pronunciation of this. So when I was putting this video together, I couldn't remember how to spell it, if it started with a C or a CH. So I asked Google, how do you spell chalcedony? And it tried to spell calcite for me. So I asked it again, and it again tried to spell calcite for me. It wasn't until I asked how to spell chalcedony, then it said the right word, and it pronounced it chalcedony. I don't know. I don't have an accent, so maybe Google's just confused. Who knows? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, so this is Decal. It's ready to go into stage 2. So what I'm doing here is I'm sorting the chalcedony out from the quartz and opal that I was using for filler. So what I'm now going to do is put the chalcedony back in the barrel, and then I'm going to add some of that filler rock back in to try and just make sure that I have enough space being taken up in this barrel. It was only a little bit short of what would be ideal. So we are going to put that into the barrel for a soap cycle. Tablespoon of ivory soap that I've grated up. I don't think I've said that for a minute. But that's what I use for my soap cycles. Some people use borax. Either way, it's fine. Still thinking about getting a sonic cleaner. Because I've just seen a lot of people that really swear by them. And so I'm thinking about it. And seeing how dirty these things are, even after the soap cycle, makes me kind of think that it might be necessary. But anyway, so we are going to move this into stage 2. So I'm putting in a tablespoon of borax and 3 tablespoons of stage 2 grit. And then this is ready to go back on the tumbler for a week. I'm trying to rewrite the name on there, but it didn't quite work out. So, salmon feldspar, that's the next one. This is also moving into stage 2 this week. So, again, same thing I did with the chalcedony. We are going to give this a rinse off. And again, I'm going to sort out all of the rocks that are not feldspar. So all of the quartz that this has been tumbling with. And again, quartz is a little bit harder than feldspar, so it is potentially going to damage it, especially if I continue using it in the later stages. So I'm going to avoid that as much as I can. Because I have enough... My rocks get bruised often enough as it is. I don't need to make that harder. So what we're going to do is, again, put the feldspar back in the barrel. It wasn't nearly as full as I would have liked, so I'm going to put in the opal. Opal is softer than feldspar, and I don't really care how this opal turns out. So if it gets a little bruised, I'm not that concerned about it. It's still not as full as I would like. It's probably okay. I feel like it's on the lower end of the acceptable fullness of the barrel. Some people would probably continue it, but I have so many problems with bruising that I kind of tend to go on the higher end, just because I feel like that helps keep things from getting as bruised, at least with how I tumble my rocks. So now we're going to rinse everything off. It did have a nice little bath. And I really need to put my phone on vibrate. All right, put everything back in there. Like I said, I'm still not happy with how full this is. So what I decided to do was add in some of my just resin filler pieces. These are definitely going to be softer than the feldspar. And they also don't float. So they do actually help a little bit better than I feel like the plastic pellets do, because they float. So like if you've got water and the plastic pellets are all floating on the surface and not really doing much. Whereas the resin does actually mix in with the rocks. And I feel like it works a little bit better. Anyway, so yeah, that's feldspar in stage 2. Now, going on to Obsidian, again, part 2. the final boss is really what I should have called this. Though I have a feeling I'm going to tumble Obsidian again in the future. I love this stuff too much. So, rinse it off. This is currently in stage 3, and it's going to get moved into stage 3.5. I kind of cheated on my grit supplier. So, I ran out of 3.5 grit, which I've been using 1,000, I believe it's aluminum oxide, from the rock shed. But I needed to get some more, and I didn't really have time to wait for a shipment. So I ordered some. It's a brand I've used in the past. I'm not going to say it because I don't really recommend it. But it is a brand I've used in the past that does work fairly well. But it is 1,200 grit and not 1,000 grit. That's not going to make that big of a difference in the scheme of things. But if you'll notice, my old 3.5 grit was gray. This is actually white. So we're just going to pretend that it's the same. It's still 3.5 because stage 4 is 8,000 grit. So it's still a step up from 500 between 8,000. So that's what we're doing here is I made sure there was no chips or breaks in this, put everything back in the barrel, a tablespoon of ivory soap, and then tumble that for a few hours, dump it out, you know, the same process we did on the first 2 barrels, soap cycle, rinse it off, put it back in the barrel. I feel like a broken record sometimes, but then I also have to feel like maybe people are jumping around and not watching the whole video, so they don't necessarily know what I said earlier. Anyway, putting everything back in the barrel, and then we are going to do a tablespoon of borax and 1 tablespoon of the stage 3.5 grit. As I've said before, I do 1 tablespoon when I'm tumbling softer rocks because it doesn't go through the grit the way the harder rocks do. And so there's no point in wasting it. I still get a great finish with using less grit because it's not using it anyway. So that's the borax and the grit. And then now we're going to tumble that for a week. All right, and finally we have Sardonyx. This stuff's really pretty. I like this batch of Sardonyx. So this is still in stage 1. This has only been in stage 1 for a couple of weeks, and it is on the harder side, so it is going to take a little bit longer. I can just tell looking at it that most of these are not going to be ready. The sharp edges are still there. They're starting to round over, but they're still very sharp and angular. And I could technically probably move these on and be fine, but I'm going for rounder here. So I'm just doing a quick inspection, seeing if anything's ready to move on. Honestly, nothing is. So I'm just going to, there was 1 piece that was ready, and it was a smaller piece that was relatively flat. That shape tends to round over fairly quickly. That piece right there. Probably still could have used another week in stage 1, but I'm not that worried about it. So we are going to put everything in the barrel for stage 1. And I do have a few more pieces of rough. So I'm going to add all of that in. Again, the barrel's probably a little more full than it should be, but that'll all work itself out in the long run. So water. And then a tablespoon of borax. 3 tablespoons of stage 1. And then that is ready to go on the tumbler for a week. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like the video. I'm going to start putting out the advent calendar videos the first weekend in December. And so look out for those, and I hope to see you back next week.